So Simon is not here today. In fact, he's not here the whole week because his parents are here visiting from the UK. So we're going to be looking at doing some bits and bobs, like we say, here and there, of jobs that need to be done before the winter comes. For example, this is past its due date and it's looking a little bit sick, and we really need the space for the winter crops. Plus, a lot of the seeds that I was hoping to collect from the dry flowers have actually rotten because of all the rain we've got for the past few weeks. So there's a cut line on the top of the container where both the tongue and groove meet, and that needs to be covered as well, so it looks a lot nicer. We also want to cover this with the tongue and groove. We say it doesn't look very nice, but we always wanted to cover it so it has this continuation of the wood. We just don't know yet if we want to just cover this bit or if we want to cover the whole space over here. We also need to trim the land because in the winter it rains a lot and it would just grow a lot faster. But then we have a lot of rain coming up very soon, even today. So it will make the soil a little bit muddy to be streamed. So let's see what happens. But you know, one bit by bit, one step at a time, one foot in front of the other.
Cheese is good.
It's good. We need chickens. I really wanted to mention something quickly about this pendant because a lot of people have asked me about it, and this is my birthday gift from Omar, and it's a very beautiful turquoise pendant made of with silver. So this is the front and this is the back. And the reason why I wanted to show you is because Simon made it. When I met Simon 15, 17 years ago, that was his main job. He used to do lots of jewelry, pendants and rings. And we all have something made by Simon. My mom, my sisters, a lot of people over here, because he's very talented, but he doesn't have a lot of time to do the jewelry right now because he's doing a lot of this work. But he's got a few pieces that he's already made, and I thought it would be very cool to put them on our website and sell them. Obviously, it will all go to him, but then you guys can have a look at. I think he's got some pendants and some rings, and really appreciate the workmanship because he uses very cool and very good quality stones, very good quality silver. He doesn't use any glue to place the pendant on the silver. He makes sure that the silver work completely wraps the pendant and is all well made, and you don't want glue in your stones because it's not good for them. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys will appreciate it. So as soon as I have anything on the website, I will let you know, so you guys can have a look at what Simon has done. And if you guys are a fan of Simon, and probably this will bring the appreciation to a whole new level, because they are very beautiful and I'm a big fan.
Before we can start any project, we need to get supplies. This time we're heading to 2 wood yards, one to pick up fresh wood for the trim we'll be adding to the container, and then the other one to grab some plywood for our project plan for next week. We're starting with the trim for the container, which is really important because when we installed the tongue and groove panels on the front, the boards weren't quite long enough to fill the entire space. To make it work, we had to cut smaller pieces for the top, which left a visible cut line in the middle. The trim will help cover that up and give the exterior a much more polished and finished look. After that, we'll swing by the second yard to get the plywood, setting us up for the next week's build.
Okay. Hold on. Yeah.
Cool. So here's all that wood we bought yesterday, and the plan right now is to trim it and also slice it down the center so it's the same width as all of the big chunky black shaosugiban parts of the container, because we're going to shaosugiban them and put them over all of the overlapping edges, so it will look really nice and neat. This to be 9 centimeters over here. Okay, so we've cut our bits. I'm going to give it a brush down because it's covered in sawdust, and I also need to clean my table saw because this wet sawdust literally solidifies inside and blocks everything up, so it's best to just clean it now. Yeah, it blocked up already. Okay, that's ready for another mission one day. Can you just write down
18.5.
180.5? I'm going to do is I'm just going to square off the end first, and then I'll do all the actual cuts over there.
At this point, Omar has sorted all the planks and is now busy squaring them off and cutting them to the right size. Next, Omar is going to use the shosugi band technique to treat the trims. This is not only giving them a beautiful dark finish, but also protects the wood from the elements, something we really need here with all the weather exposure. Unfortunately, the wood was too fresh to burn properly, so Omar gave it a light burn just to dry it out and decided to try again the next day.
Okay, so that was our first layer of shosugi-ban. So I'm going to give it a brush down and then do another fire layer afterwards, and then brush it down again and put some linseed, perhaps 2 times. Yeah, it's a little bit harder, this one, because it's so fresh. I'm using a bit more gas than I would like to, so I'm only just going to do the one side, all the sides that we're going to see with this one, and then I'll treat the other sides. So I had to change my shirt because the next bit's very messy. So I'm going to start the brush down. Okay, we're going to give it another burn, see how it burns.
Omar gives the blanks a second rub down with the metal brush, then sets everything up to apply the oil.
So that one's been rubbed down and these two need to be rubbed down. I would say now we'd leave them to dry, but I mean, they're dried already. It's crazy how fast it has been. So for the other sides, we're going to save our gas, and we have some other kind of preservative, which I'm going to put on over here. And yeah, hopefully it will be as effective. A bit cheaper. Yeah, we're not going to see this side, so it's not necessary to spend too much money making it look beautiful.
Now that all the planks have been treated, Omar is ready to put them in place. But first he needs to pre-drill some holes to make it easier to screw them in.
Oh, I was gonna help you. I can take the last one.
It's not heavy.
Oh, I just have gloves.
The moment has come. Let's do it.
Much better.
Oh yeah, I made these little brackets.
Nice. And you are going to screw it slightly over. Why? It's not entirely in the middle.
Yeah, because we know there's wood up here because that's where all the other screws are, but down below it's actually where the container meets the wood. Much better.
Yeah.
That's how we like it around here.
You're doing great.
Thank you, my love. I like the encouragement.
Hi.
There we go.
Looking great. Look at that beauty.
Another job done.
Another job done. That needed to be done a long time ago. So Omar and I have been imagining this place, how it's gonna look like, the whole like interior design. And Omar and I really like French countryside, Tuscan feel with Mexican hacienda, but bold colors like Morocco as well. So it's gonna be a little bit of everything, but we don't want it to obviously be a mix match as well. But basically we just really like vintage looking furniture, flea market finds. We really don't like modern looking places at all. We just feel that they look quite clinical. So it's really important that this feels like it's been here for a long time and it captures that essence of being a 100-year-old farm and all of that stone walls and so on. So we've been compiling everything into one place so we can imagine how it's going to look like, and it's been super helpful to do that before we even have actual floors and a roof. I'll show you what I mean. One of the things that have been really helpful to bring our interior design ideas together has been Milanote. It's a great tool for organizing and visualizing the creative projects we have been working on, whether it's the tiny house or, in this case, our main living quarters. Right now, we have been using Milanote to gather all of our inspiration in one place. We planned the aesthetics and design for the kitchen, the living room, and ensuite bedroom here, and it really helps us get a sense of what the space will look like when it's finished. We've added some of the products that we want to buy and also the contacts for some of the suppliers, so everything is in one place and easy to access. Milanote makes starting a new project super easy. There are over 100 built-in templates for every type of creative project. For example, I used the Renovation project plan template to plan out our kitchen and the living spaces, and the Renovation mood board to add the inspiration ideas to each room. It's perfect for creatives like myself, but also for anyone planning a home renovation or managing a project. You can adopt it to fit your specific needs. And when you're ready to get feedback or collaborate with others, Milanote makes it easy to share your boards. For example, I shared this design board with Omar to get his thoughts on the final layout and materials. I also love this web clipper feature, which allows me to get any image or video or link or text that I'm very interested on, and then I just click it and then I can save it directly to the board that I wanted to. And the best part is you can sign up for a Milanote account for free with no time limit by clicking on the link in the description below. You may also scan the QR code on your screen right now. Whether you're planning your next big project like we are, or just want to organize some of your ideas, I highly recommend you sign up to Milanote. It's time to start a project that I've been meaning to do for a very long time, which is to make sourdough bread. I absolutely love sourdough bread. It's my favorite, and I used to make loads of it before, but I moved to Portugal, then I didn't have an oven, then I didn't have my equipment, so. Now everything is aligned. The universe has aligned everything for me, so I will be able to start it now. But we need to start with this sourdough starter, which is your natural yeast, and that takes about 5 to 7 days to develop depending on the temperature. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do it now is because the weather is more like what I'm used to in England, if you know what I mean. Because the summer here was so hot, I did try to make a sourdough starter and it just didn't work out because the room was too hot and it just spoiled. But anyway, and then the recipe that I use is by Bake with Jack YouTube channel. He's absolutely amazing. So if you are just starting to get into baking or you are a bread enthusiast, I really recommend checking out his channel. He's amazing and he explains things super well to understand. And it's a recipe that doesn't require lots of kneading, it just requires folding and waiting for the gluten to develop, and then you folding, you put it in the fridge overnight, and then the next day in the morning you bake it, and it's the best recipe in the world. So I'm gonna now make my sourdough starter. To make sourdough starter is very easy. You need flour, water at 35 Celsius, so pretty like warm, and a glass container preferably that can breathe. If you have an airtight container, it would explode. So this thing over here, I use this kind of jar, but this I don't use, so just take it off.
To make sourdough starter, mix 35 grams of flour with 35 grams of water. Wholemeal or rye flour works best. Start by stirring your jar on the scale and noting its weight for future reference. Each day, add another 35 grams of both flour and water to the mixture. If your kitchen is too warm, you can keep the jar in the fridge. By day 4 or 5, the mixture should have double its size and your starter will be ready.
So here's my sourdough starter. It's actually quite a lot of it. It's 300 grams worth of sourdough starter. So basically you start your starter and you feed it and put it in the fridge. You keep it in the fridge always because it's more control. And then the day that you want to make your bread, the day before, you take it out of the fridge, you feed it and leave it out, and that will make sure to do the double the size that you need. And I have 300 grams of sourdough starter here, which is actually too much. I'm going to take 200 grams, 100 grams per loaf I'm gonna make 2 loaves, and then I have 100 grams left that I'm going to put in the fridge.
This recipe is making 2 loaves of bread. I start by placing 200 grams of sourdough starter into a bowl, along with 620 grams of room temperature water and 16 grams of salt. I mix everything really well. Then I add 900 grams of flour. I'm using 700 grams of T65 and 200 grams of T170. Yeah, these are the names of the flours here in Portugal and most of Europe. After doing some research, I realized these aren't exactly what I used to use in the UK, where I typically use 600 grams of strong flour, 200 grams of rye, and 100 grams of spelt. I still need to investigate a bit more where I can find the equivalents, but for now, I can easily get these, so I'm just gonna learn to adapt to what is available here.
Not the best time to add it, but better before than ever.
Mix everything really well until it's all combined, then let it rest for 30 minutes. I spray a little bit of water on the dough to keep it from drying out, then cover it.
We finished our utility area almost, but we've been debating whether we should cover this whole side up or whether we should just cover this one section up and then cover all of the brickwork, which is quite messy at the moment. So that's definitely been covered up. But before we can even test any of these ideas, I need to trim some of the concrete that's preventing us to fit more tongue and groove. So basically I've got one of my favorite tools, Mr. Angle Grinder, and I'm just going to shave some of this concrete away over here. So yeah, the decision was made, and we're just going to bring the wood up to here and just to cover up the brickwork basically, so it will look nice.
Oh, there's no piece here, isn't it? Never piece. Huh?
Oh, bugger.
Don't worry, he's got anti-flea and anti-everything.
Now,
Okay. What?
Half an hour has gone by, and at this point we take the dough out and fold it 12 times, working our way around. Then we place it back into the bowl, spray a bit of water on top and let it rest for 2 hours.
so we're going to sink some screws in here. So that needs to be a little bit bigger.
A little hiccup.
Hiccup. Basically our tabletop has got 2 different layers on it, and I put a hole literally in between those layers, and so there's a crack that formed, but you can't see it from here. But I think from now on we're not going to put any more holes in this particular place.
We cannot.
Yeah, we'll put it on the brickwork. So yeah, luckily I didn't put holes in all of them.
One at a time.
One at a time. Check it.
And check, double check.
Exactly.
Measure. Yeah, we're learning, eh?
Measure 5 times, cut twice.
There is 2 holes just on the bottom bar there. Can you show, Omar? Just there.
Like we already put 2 holes only on this piece.
But we can cover them with some sawdust and glue. But that's the only one. More rain.
Typical, man. Let me just whack this in quickly.
After 2 hours, it's time for the second fold. This time, we fold the dough 6 times instead of 12. Then it goes back into the bowl to rest for another 2 hours. The third fold is just like the second. Fold the dough 6 times and place it back into the bowl to rest for another hour. By this point, the dough should start increasing in size. Now it's time to pre-shape our folds. We switch from using water to flour. Divide the dough into 2 loaves and shape each one into a ball. Let them rest for another hour. The next part is the trickiest. We're going to place each loaf into a basket called a banneton. If you don't have a banneton, a colander with a well-floured cloth works just as well. Make sure to dust your bannetons well so the loaves don't stick. You don't need to use a liner, but I prefer to do. To shape the bread, gently spread one of the dough balls onto a lightly floured surface, shaping it into more of a square. Stretch one side and fold it over, then do the same with the other side. Next, take either the top or bottom, whichever is easiest, and roll the dough into a sausage, gently pushing as you go to trap all the air inside. Keep the rolling movement light. Finally, flip the dough over and pinch the seams to seal it. Flour the loaf and place it into the banneton, seam side up. Okay. Lastly, place your dough into the fridge to proof overnight. The next day, preheat your oven to 230 degrees Celsius and boil some water in the kettle. While the oven heats up, take the loaves out to rest. If you have a baking stone, place it in the oven now. I plan to invest in one soon, along with some wooden peels for placing loaves onto the stone. For now, we'll make do, though starting with a cold tray isn't ideal. Before baking, score the loaves. I don't have a grenade yet, so I use a sharp knife. Hold the blade at a 30-degree angle and make a straight cut. No need for curves, as it happens naturally when you cut it. Place a tray of boiling water at the bottom of the oven to create steam, which helps keep the crust moist and allow for better oven spring. Bake for 15 minutes, then reduce the temperature to 190 degrees Celsius and continue baking for 20 to 25 minutes.
There you go. Well, it's looking alright. I think we can still improve it. We need to put some trimming on the top. We need to give it another coat of a protector, the same for over here. And yeah, just give it a bit of a sand down, and yeah, it's going to be cool. I might replace some of the screws and get fatter ones because they're not all as much as I wanted them to be. But it's enough for now.
It looks nice, Omar. It looks really good so far.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really good. Once the trim is on, it's gonna look really nice. And then we need to
need some trim now.
clean all the brick thing, but it's raining, so it's making it a little bit difficult.
Come on, Portugal. We heard you were hot and sunny.
You have to cut it right in the middle to know what happens. Well, it's okay. It's not perfect.
I'd say it's 90% there though.
Yeah, this is here. What's happened here?
I mean, your first sourdough is always going to be a bit strange.
I think it's underproofed. Maybe underworked. Smells amazing. It's definitely edible. It needed a little bit more work. I'll master this. I've done this before. I can do it again.
This week felt a bit unusual. The weather seems to be in a transitional phase, with heavy rain slowing down our projects and keeping us from tending to the garden as much as we liked. But on the upside, it gave me the chance to revisit some passions I haven't had time for in years. Definitely a sign that winter is on its way. The first loaf of bread is never perfect, especially with a new environment, ingredients and an oven to figure out. So guess what I'll be doing this weekend? Practice makes perfect. I can't wait to enjoy some homemade bread. Hopefully next week we'll have a little bit more luck, but I have been loving this crisp, fresh weather.